St James's Park, Newcastle was it?
And Newcastle have done nothing, so they're not really anything special.
Okay,
I mean,
that's another thing, but it just depends on
true.
See Liverpool, Arsenal, United. Where would you go if you was him?
I'm biased, obviously, but you go to Liverpool. I think if he goes to Liverpool, I think there's a period of dominance for the next at least two to 3 years.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's that time again when we look at social media. We have ex-football players, we have journalists, and we have opposition fans that like to make fun of Newcastle. They take shots at us on social media, and this is the video where we react to them, we show you them on screen, we have a laugh, enjoy ourselves, and, of course, fire some shots back, I suppose. But the idea of this sort of video is just to be entertaining. It's a good chance to have a laugh. I can't lie, in terms of Newcastle United on social media, I mean, when you're looking on Facebook yesterday, for example, we have articles about Dan Burn going to the beach tour. It's not exactly the most exciting time at the minute, but I would rather Newcastle United be a quiet football club with no headlines and nothing to worry about than for us to have all sorts of social media. So it's a good week for us. Looking forward to Brighton, can't wait to be there the weekend, and we have a couple of massive announcements towards the end of this video, so make sure you stick around so you don't miss any of them. And finally, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you enjoy it, smash the like button on the video. But let's start off with Arsenal. Last night they had a massive Champions League game against PSG, the first leg of the semi-final. The same PSG team who has already knocked out Liverpool and Aston Villa, the odds-on favourite to win the Champions League. Arsenal walk away 1-0 defeat, but for some reason on social media, AFTV, we've got people amongst AFTV that were taking little pop shots at Newcastle. So let's put the video on now. Let's show you what this is all about.
I can compare, as a PSG fan on away games, to English clubs. I can compare the last 5 English clubs that we played away and compare the atmospheres of the fans and the stadium.
Yeah, go on.
St James's Park is up top. It was amazing, but obviously they haven't played the Champions League for 21 years, so obviously it was a special occasion. St James's Park, Newcastle was it?
And Newcastle have done nothing, so they're not really anything special.
Okay,
I mean,
that's another thing, but it just depends on
true.
I've been Anfield away, Villa Park recently, and we did the Emirates and we did the Etihad as well. So
yeah,
the Emirates, brother, I'd go with same atmosphere as the Etihad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can say that, but you can
sorry.
But you can say but that's you, isn't it? That's you. You're saying.
Where do we even begin with this video? Now, let's start off with a PSG fan. He was sound. You can tell he was clearly at St James's Park last season. Quite knowledgeable, knows the football club well. He knows that for us, it was our first home Champions League game in 21 years. So, of course, our atmosphere on the day was the best I personally seen in my lifetime at St James's Park. He knew it was a massive occasion. And, of course, Newcastle, it was just an unbelievable time for us. And he knew that when he was talking through the different grounds he's been at. Now, Ty, for whatever reason, has decided to slag us off in the video. We've achieved nothing. It's quite ironic, actually, because Arsenal hasn't won anything in 5 years. And Newcastle's actually the more decorated club this season, which is mental when you put it that way. Obviously, Arsenal's a massive football club, but you guys haven't done anything since lockdown. I mean, this is an Arsenal team that has one of the most expensive squads in the league. It's meant to be the Arteta glory years, but he hasn't actually won anything, so it's not his glory years. But going through Ty, I mean, arguing with Ty is just like arguing with a brick wall. He got no chance arguing with Ty. He is the most deluded football fan of all time. He's hilarious to watch, but my God, he is deluded. We've already beaten Arsenal 3 times this season. I'm more than happy to go down to the Emirates in a couple of weeks and do it for a 4th time. And speaking of atmospheres, did you see the state of the Emirates last night? That was a horrendous atmosphere for a Champions League semi-final. I get that you guys conceded after 4 minutes, but it is a UCL semi-final. Get into the game, get behind the team. Arsenal had spells in the game yesterday when they could have done something. The fans need to be constantly on them from minute 1 to 90. I think every football club, including us, of course, when things don't go our way, we concede early. Yes, the atmosphere is dampened, but there's a difference between us playing a league game and you guys in a Champions League semi-final. That was a huge occasion for you yesterday at the Emirates, but you had the home advantage, and the atmosphere was just shocking. It was a terrible atmosphere from Arsenal. So you can speak about the atmosphere as already wanting TikTok, but the evidence was in the pudding, and Arsenal did not bring it yesterday. Newcastle, we did bring it against PSG last season, and you saw the difference between the two teams. Newcastle clearly wanted it more. Arsenal were just not good enough yesterday, especially how dominant PSG were in big spells of the game.
Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, United. Where would you go if you was him?
I'm biased, obviously, but you go to Liverpool. I think if he goes to Liverpool, I think there's a period of dominance for the next at least two to 3 years. With Van Dijk and Salah signing those deals, you get Isak as well. I don't think there's a club in the country that can compare to that.
It's true. I think that's where he goes, by the way.
Do you?
Yeah. That's where
I don't know if Liverpool have got the capacity financially
I think
to give
that's
him
the
that.
Alisson Van Dijk situation. Look at how successful they were. I think they went above and beyond to buy Van Dijk. For, what was it, 80?
Yeah,
And
70 or something
70 and Alisson similar.
I think he lives in that ilk.
That's where he is.
Yeah, he has the impact like that.
Where else is he going to go? Like, he can't, he's not going Madrid. Like, he's not going.
I think he should go Madrid or something like that. He can't go to Liverpool.
Rio Ferdinand, have some shame. Fair enough making the comment of potentially Isak moving to maybe Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, but to include Manchester United as an upgrade on Newcastle, what planet are you living on, you guys? We are talking 16th in the league table. If Manchester United do not win the Europa League this season, you guys have got nothing to bargain with next season. You straight up need to win the Europa League just to have Champions League football. That is the only way you guys have any pull power next season. And even if Manchester United was to go ahead and do that, Newcastle is still likely to either have Europa League or to go into the Champions League themselves anyway. So for Alexander Isak, in his best interest, if he was ever going to leave Newcastle, it is not Manchester United he would join. There is no way he is picking Manchester United. Rio, have some shame. You are not that football club anymore. 15 years ago, sure thing, but it is 2025 now, and you guys we are talking just outside the relegation zone. So, yeah, enough rubbish from him. And speaking of Rio Ferdinand, I have not forgotten 2019. I did not forget the time you were kissing the backside of Mike Ashley, talking to Newcastle fans about how we are the villains in this story, about how we are ungrateful, about how Mike Ashley is such a good football owner. While, of course, Rio Ferdinand was selling his products inside Sports Direct. But that's a story for another day. I have not forgotten that, Rio. I'm still quite bitter over that one because I remember when we were seriously in the crap, like some Rio Ferdinand on social media just dug into Newcastle fans when we were at lowest. So now that we are at our highest, is this rubbish? Or it's like he could go to Manchester United. He ain't going to Manchester United. It's not happening at all. Fair enough, I'm in a discussion about our clubs. Liverpool's obviously a massive club. Fair enough. As annoying as it may be, you are entitled to have your opinion. But Manchester United is not an upgrade on Newcastle United in 2025. The important point I was saying now in this video that you guys should also be aware of when you are watching this video, when you are across social media pages, is that real life and social media are two very different things. But for the most part, Newcastle are quite sound with opposition fans in real life. You see last week, for example, Ipswich Town come to St James's Park. They were so nice with the Bobby Robson statue. They were quite welcoming. They were class earlier in the season at Portman Road, and that was a nice atmosphere. And I wish the ending wasn't the bad ending for them, but we have to do our job. Surprisingly, one of the worst atmospheres I've seen directed towards Newcastle fans. Villa Park was weird last week. Now, Aston Villa and Newcastle again in social media and real life for the most part is quite sound, but I was quite surprised coming out from Villa Park about how antagonistic the Aston Villa fans actually were towards Newcastle. And I will always say a small bunch of them. But the amount of fans after the game that were going to Newcastle away and they were chanting "Sub on the time" again, like properly getting into people's faces and just trying to start to them. It was a real strange atmosphere, that one, because Newcastle and Villa are almost been parallel this season, with the exception of course, Newcastle being able to win at Wembley. But in terms of the two clubs, there aren't two clubs that should be going back and forth, head to head. I don't know why the fans were kind of back and forth with each other after that Villa Park game. We were beaten, well and truly beaten on the day, fair enough. Villa's had a rough week since that. But the fan reaction from the Villa point of view coming on from that game was so weird in person. I don't know why people were so antagonistic towards Newcastle. You guys battered us and we lost the game. It was that simple. We moved on. We've started to do our thing again. Villa have obviously dropped off a little bit since that game. But yeah, in terms of real life fixtures, most games, Brighton this weekend, for example, will be a brilliant atmosphere again. Newcastle, Brighton are always quite sound with each other. Villa this season was one of the strangest ones walking away from Villa Park because some of the home fans were just quite aggressive towards Newcastle. And for the most part in real life, you don't tend to get that anymore. I can imagine for all our fans watching this video, you would have got every game back in the day. But Villa Park this season was a weird one. I don't know why they were so aggressive in person. As for the rest of social media, there's been quite a lot of Isak talk over the last couple of days. You can just put a million videos on like the real Ferdinand one. But listen, you've seen this stuff all before. We'll call it out, I feel like, towards a more appropriate time when the window is open. For now, Newcastle still have a season to finish, so let's just crack on, do our job. Let's make sure, on our point of view, we get Champions League football. But as promised, I said at the start of the video, we have a few announcements to make, and we do have some big ones to say as well. So we'll start off in terms of my personal plans this week. So, of course, the Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be down south for the Brighton game. On the Friday before the weekend, we are going to be going to Newcastle Blue Star. They have a playoff final coming up against Blythe Town. Of course, playoff finals is amazing to be at. Atmosphere is going to be bouncing. There'll be special guests there. And I wanted to kind of announce ahead of time that I will be at the game. So for any of you who's watching that, like in non-league football, get yourselves along, make sure to get involved and make sure to go check it out. And for me, there'll be a video about it at the weekend. Last season I went, Blue Star lost, and obviously I was the one where I had the water bottle thrown off my head. But yeah, Blue Star lost the playoff final and was still promoted last season, which is mental because of basically someone that's happened to a different team. So they're in the new playoff final now this season afterwards, and they've got a chance to go up back to back. So let's see if they can actually win the game this time and get promoted that way. Massive opportunity though. Weekend we go away to Brighton, and then I come back from Brighton. I'm going to be doing media coverage with Sour Shoes on Monday. So this is a charity match for Diabetes UK. So of course to raise money to help fight diabetes. The likes of Andy Carroll and Olivia Bernard will be taking on. You got Lee Cattermore, Martin Waghorn. We've got Newcastle versus Sunderland theme to it, but of course it's South Shoes. So South Shoes have got all of their ex-players there as well, and it's basically just a non-league northeast Newcastle United versus Sunderland. I kind of a mesh, like it's all the teams put together. It's a charity match where, of course, all the money is going to be going for diabetes, and I'm going to be there in a media capacity to help cover the game and just to, of course, help Sour Shoes out and to give you guys some extra videos as well. So again, that is on Bank Holiday Monday, so the game after Brighton, so the day after Brighton, they're going to be playing at 3 p.m. Andy Carroll, for the first time since he has left Newcastle in his second run, will be playing a football match back in the northeast, so that'll be quite interesting. Andy Carroll versus Lee Cattermore, my God, it has given me these 2010 flashbacks. It is a long time ago since those two used to play at the top level in Barclays Premier League, but it'd be good to see it again. That's going to be a massive cause, so make sure you get yourselves along to that. Speaking of Sour Shoes, I will also be playing next Saturday at Sour Shoes Stadium. This charity is for Rap for Jack. Essentially, we'll tell you a bit more about it in future videos, but it's a 10-year-old lad called Jack, massive Sour Shoes fan. He had a heart condition where the arteries in his heart just burst, and because of that, he unfortunately passed away. So there's an opportunity for us to all get together in memory of him. Of course, a chance to raise money for quite an important charity, which has meant quite a lot for him and his family. And I've had the opportunity to be invited down to make sure that I can come along, of course, play football, and for you guys as well to help cover the game and just to help raise awareness for these charities. And it's at that point of the season now where things with Newcastle have calmed down a little bit. So during the week, I've got opportunity now to have some free time. I'm able to go out and just to help out, as just to make sure for these charities and for these big games coming up for non-league clubs, we'll get a chance to go to some of them. They'll get some videos done, and of course for you guys as well, there's a good chance to be involved. So yeah, 3 announcements there. I'm at Blue Star on Friday for the playoff final. Charity game, the likes of Andy Carroll, Lee Cattermore, and Olivia Bernard on Monday, and the charity game I'm playing in, which is on the Saturday. Massive charities involved, so please do get yourselves involved, or even if you can't make it, just a small donation would be a massive help for these clubs. For South Shields, they've got plenty of charity matches going on over the next couple of weeks, so it's great to see them be so heavily involved with Sunderland and Newcastle. And of course, on Derby Day and football related, we'll be back and forth towards each other. But for charities, You know, it's that time when we all show respect to each other. We all take the time to enjoy watching a charity game and just to get involved. So it'll be a massive cause. Can't wait to be involved with it. You know, I would always say a massive thank you to every single one of you because of the position that I'm in. I'm able to kind of go out there and be able to spread awareness and get involved with big events like this. So thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. And hopefully you've enjoyed this video as well. There's quite a lot going on in this video. Had a few things to say at the end, and obviously the main topic of this video was just to kind of have a laugh at these opposition fans and opposition media and Rio Ferdinand, just not to rub it in, because I never feel like rubbing it in is the appropriate thing to do, because when Newcastle has their down period, the last thing we want is for opposition fans to kind of dig into us. So it's always about respect. They show lack of respect. So in this instant, I feel like it's fair to call it out. But of course, let's also show respect to ours and let's make sure we enjoy ourselves. And Newcastle need to do their job, need to beat Brighton, and we are looking so good for Champions League football. Bogey team, bogey ground. Get this game won, and let's make sure Newcastle actually beat Brighton away in the Premier League, because we have never ever done that before.